this space that we have created within our ViViD project. That is an European project. We are part of it with 8 partners from different countries in Europe. And and the idea of this project was to work on how we sustain our initiatives. No? What are the key points, or how we sustain ourselves? No, because and what means viability, but not only from the monetary or the traditional economy perspective, also with other lens, no, including all the work that is invisible in our networks, and what are the visible and invisible parts within our initiatives. Even if we are part of agroecological networks, we know that we have within our networks and in our initiatives, we have different roles, power imbalances. We have different topics, different things that we need to make visible to work. And the point of the ViViD project was to work on all of it. I will try to share my screen. Let me try to do it. Let's see if this works. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it, Isa.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. Okay, so the idea is how I was saying, to share our experience within our initiatives, and sharing tools and resources of within We Are Urgency. We are the network of LSPA initiatives. So the focus is more in these initiatives, but we think that the materials and the outputs that we are creating in this project, we think that are useful for others. No, so these are like our keywords in the whole project are 3 pillars, three main pillars of this framework that we are creating. The viability is where we look at this monetary part of our economies, and how we sustain it also within our initiative. That is an important part, even if we are agroecological and we are trying to go out from capitalism. We need to survive, and we know that this is a part of our initiatives. The second part is the visibility, and in this part we have been working the communication skills, how to make us visible, and what we do, how to make visible what are we doing. And also in this visibility, also we need to make visible all the tasks that are sustaining our projects, no, and our initiatives. And the third part is the liveability, which is the part that we are going to explain during this webinar. Is the part that we have been working between Urgency, DAFAL, and Zambra in this within the ViViD project. And the idea is to have exchanges, to create some tools, and to build capacity, and to build more and more tools to understand better what is happening in our initiatives. So this is the idea. And today we had different moments for viability and visibility webinars, and we have our we have a hub, an urgency hub, where you can find the different parts of the project. So, but today the point is to go in this part of Liveability, which is the part we have been working, and to share with you the tools, and also to have together a practice moment to understand better what this means, no, in our network. So for me, I think it's enough. Anna, now you can continue if you want.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone. So, yes, so why do we want to talk about livability? Why it is so important? And as Isa was explaining, we have identified these three milestones and this livability. Even in some languages, there is not a traduction, no? How we can interpret it, how we can translate livability. What does it mean? It doesn't mean wellness. What are the components? All of us have been always in a situation, or especially with our networks, with our activism activities, that at certain point we are totally burned out, or we want to discuss some things. Now that there are people, volunteers or staff people who are not engaged at the same point, and at certain point all these discussions, everything explodes. No, there is like poof, wow, like a volcano, like wow, there were a lot of things that we needed to talk. So that's why we wanted to face since the very beginning talking about livability, because as one of the main milestones of the healthy of the CSA and LSPA networks, because livability, with livability, the networks become more participative and inclusive, and also helps people retain their social capital and work, and the workforce. It enables the networks to become more healthier and working in happy working environments. Livability fosters also a greater sense of purpose in the community and promotes active citizenships and well-being for all actors in the network. But to face all these things, it is super huge, not the concept of livability. So we have identified some keywords. So Isa, please. We have identified some keywords that we think that they are the core of livability inside a network, inside an organization, even inside a single CSA or whatever your organization it is. No, but the important things that makes you feel better or makes you feel not that better when there is this lack. And in the materials that later on my colleagues will introduce you will see how we have faced all these concepts and how we have identified this common language, time, care, equity, motivation, intersectionality, collective organization, and the collective conflict management, how we have adapted these meanings, these words inside a CSA-LSPA concept, how we have managed to identify how we can work with them. And we have been 3 years working with them, and I think that we have reached a good level of adaptation of these meanings of these words inside our CSA and LSPA. And we have tried also to face the cultural aspects. Now it's not the same being from the north of Europe, or even from the States, from another country, from another continent, or from the south of Europe, where maybe time is another thing. We have another time. This is the most common thing. No, the concept of time in the south or in the north, it's totally different. But also the concept of care, the concept of conflict management. So we have tried to be the most universal, but knowing that all of these words make us feel better and make us to feel more engaged in our CSA networks, in our CSA, in our works, and so on. So the materials that we have produced, they are uploaded in the platform. If you go one slide for, yes, if you manage, thank you, Isa.
Let me a moment, because
I
I
don't
have
know.
two screens. Let's see if one moment.
Otherwise, I can share. I have it open in my computer.
I know. Sorry.
If you want, I can share it, Isa, if it is better.
No, I think I got
Yes?
it.
Super. No.
Can you see it?
Yes, perfect. So this is the landing page of ViViD. Actually, the first screen that you will see when you go to the landing page is not the Liveability module, but now we are talking about the Liveability. And now here you will find the materials that we are uploading. For example, the Liveability handbook that we have produced, and it is structured in these three parts. The keywords that we have tried to explain with a lot of exercise, with a lot of examples, with some best cases that we have identified from the States to some countries in Africa, to Asia, to Europe. So try to understand how each of us, with some best practices, have identified these words and some examples and exercise that you can try within your networks. Then this handbook talks also about the power relations, so how we are related among us, and finally the care. So it's a really short document, but full of bibliography, full of practical topics that makes you realize how important it's livability. It's not only about sustainability, economical sustainability. It's about the wellness of the people who are making who gives an identity to the CSA and to the CSA network. Without an identity, without hearing all voices, we cannot have a good livability. So I pass the floor back to Isa, who will introduce you the handbook. And thank you to you all.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I don't know if anybody is sharing these links in the chat, because I cannot see the chat now because I am sharing the screen. I think it's good if we share the links with the participants. So yeah, as Anna was saying, we build this handbook. We try that, of course, this is a European project, but when we think about the materials that we wanted to produce, is not only for us, for the 8 partners that are part of this project, is for our partners in urgency also. So we try to create something, as Anna said, to be inclusive, because it's one of the keywords that we have been working with, and to, how to say, to start from the very, very beginning, because we cannot, what we have, what we see in our groups is that even if we are all the time talking about the collective spaces and many people have not been working on these concepts, or because sometimes we don't have the time to stop and to reflect about it, because even if in our own initiatives, we are all the time talking about the other way of life, more fair, more respectful, more I don't know, slow, or but we are all the time running, so sometimes we don't have the time to stop and to think about all these things, or all these topics. So we try to create this handbook from this very, very, starting point, I would say. So as Anna was saying, the handbook has different parts. The first part are these keywords, because we thought that it's very important when we are in a group, in a collective space, to be sure that we are using the same words with the same meaning, no? Because sometimes we use the same words, but with different, because we are coming from different countries or from different situations, so we can use the words from different with different meanings, no? So we start with that. We start with this need of a common language, and we try to define from our perspective some of these keywords, and you will find in the handbook the definitions. Then, yeah, we have one specific part about the teamwork, why and how, because we are our ecological networks. We, as I said, no, we are all the time working with all other people. So, how we can do it in a way that all the people can be comfortable, and how we can resolve the conflicts with when they start. So yeah, so we in this part of the teamwork, we try to share some content about the elements of the teamwork, the components of the motivation in the working groups in our teams, also how the different types of interactions that we can have inside our groups, depending on the personal and the group situation. No, we can have different interactions. Some of these interactions can be very healthy for the group, but not all of them. So we try to share some content on how to identify the different types of group that we can have. And then maybe this is super basic, but we consider that it's important to have some tips on how to organize a meeting to be effective, and to be also to take the emotions and the feelings and how people are coming to this meeting in consideration to have a successful meeting. No, so this is the part of the teamwork. And then the fourth point is about care. No, what are we talking about when we talk about care? How to approach care in a group, and the different aspects to consider for collective care. And finally, the definition of safe space, which is part of the handbook, but is also an important part of the Liveability this work package. And after me, Nadia will explain what I have been working about this. So as Anna explained before, you will find yeah, in each part you have the how to say theoretical content, but then some questions, some examples on each topic. And yeah, we try to have a how to say accessible handbook for everyone, with yeah, with practice, with practical tools. No, not only the theory, also how to work with this theory in our groups. So more or less, I think this is the handbook. You can find it in the hub. We will have it in different languages, in the different languages of the project, in Spanish, French, English, Polish, German, Italian, and I don't know. I said French. I think and maybe, yeah, and Czech maybe. And yeah, so I think that this is all. I don't know if you have any questions, or because we are speaking a lot. So I will stop sharing the screen. And I don't know if you have any questions or anything before going to the next point, which is the safe space and how we create the tool to work on it. Yes, Joe?
Thanks. I really think that it's such a helpful tool, and it's really wonderfully designed and laid out, very clear. I was just wondering about the methodology that you used to build it together, to co-construct it. Could you say a little bit more about how you worked together to come up with this final product?
Okay, I can answer. Sorry, because I'm having problems with my Zoom. Wait a moment. Anna, if you want to answer, because I'm having.
I think that it is a participative answer, Joe. I think because we were three people working on that mainly, and it was Nadia, Isa, and me, and I. And but the issue was we started working with the whole partnership, trying to identify the very first meeting. It was in, I do not remember, in March 23. I don't remember, 24. I don't remember. Yes. And we started working with the whole partnership with all the partners from Poland, Italy, Spain, France, from France to organizations, Belgium, Czech Republic, Germany, and I think that's all. And trying to identify which were the words that we felt that could be with the keywords now. And Isa, who already started doing this process for another project, for another work, she already suggested us these words now, as those were already identified as the keywords of livability. But altogether we tried to identify the meaning for CSA, because the context here is the CSA. Now, I mean, all the keywords that we have identified can be applied in all our aspects of our life, no? But in this case was more about, okay, which is the context. And it was in all the meetings that we had, it was a really participative issue. We were collecting and raising information, gathering information from our partners, from our experience with our local workshops, trying to identify what that could mean. No, so those was the very first step for the keywords, co-building the meaning. And well, the three of us were in charge of collecting, and then Nadia did a great job of trying to identify a good definition that was not the result of the collective inputs from the meetings, but also what does these words could mean for the rest of the world. I'm trying to be the most neutral in sense of not relying only trying to avoid the not trying to avoid, but it's really easy to fall into the cultural aspect. No, I mean, I am from Spain, I live in Italy. What this, I mean, it's really different what you can understand for that other word. So trying to keep just the essence of the word. And then we started also with the power relations and the care, and it was a really interesting aspect. While it was, we were preparing the symposium of urgency for December 25. Okay, and we started preparing it really few months, a lot of months before. And then Nadia and Isa, and I will pass the floor to them, because to the two of them, because then I think that Nadia can introduce it really well, because it was the second part of this webinar. They designed a tool that is a compass, that it really helps to understand which is the position. And I pass the floor to Nadia so she can explain how this compass was built, and she can introduce this tool that we have tried it in several situations, both at the local level in Spain, in Italy, and other organizations. And also we have tried it inside the symposium, and also within the partnership. So Nadia, if you want to explain a little bit more about the compass, if it is possible. I do not see you. I see other faces. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I want also to link, because of the question of Joe, I want to link it. That's a wonderful intro, this question, actually, because we started with the handbook, as Anna explained, and one point was that as much as we went through the topics that we identify as, like Anna said, kind of universal approach to livability in general, as much as we went deep, try to put a kind of framework for the handbook, we started to understand that we couldn't give a kind of a solution or universal answers. So even for the handbook, we started like to, the first part was to clear to ourselves into the partnership and into the two main organizations that were working with Liveability, even the definition. So the first step was the research, clarify even between us, and then try to translate it in something that could be useful into the handbook in a practical way for our framework that is LSPA and CSA network. So for that reason, we started with the definition of the topic, and then we add the practical the example we wanted. We really look for a lot of example applied in this framework, and then we add even the exercise. So this was the way, the very participatory way, and it took a lot of months to understand, I would say, this kind of fil rouge, this kind of structure. So at a certain point, it was like the structure came at the end. So this is also to add something to answer better, maybe to Joe, I hope. And during this, we at the beginning, we thought that in the end, we could end with a kind of manifesto of Liveability that, in our thought, would be the charter. But during the process, we learned a lot, I would say. And in the end, we came with the fact that we didn't feel to have a manifesto, because a manifesto is something, that you try to explain something through a manifesto. But we understood that it would come with a lot of limitation, because every contest, every organization, everything is so personal that we couldn't give a manifesto that fit for all. And we didn't want to choose kind of a target inside the networks. So starting to think about it, we came with the idea that our manifesto or our charter, but even the handbook, should not provide answers or solution, but try to put organization, to empower organization to ask themselves the right question to come to their Liveability. So I would like to share the presentation again to go a bit deep into the charter that in the end we made. Can you see my screen just to be sure? I hope is fine.
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
you can see it.
Okay, so in the end, we decided to design more than a manifesto, a compass. And how we came with the idea of a compass? First, because we decide not to provide solution or answers, but try to work with Liveability inside the networks through questions. So we completely change in a kind of way our point of view from the beginning. And we try to create something that is more dynamic, really suitable to every kind of situation, every kind of group, any kind of networks, even not the network, even an individual inside the network that want to dive a bit more, a bit deeper inside the Liveability. So we came with the idea after we started in the symposium working on the idea to create questions and not give answers. We came with the idea that, okay, but if we have a lot of questions, somehow we need a kind of directions. We need something that can help us to navigate through the right questions to arrive somewhere. So we decided to create this tool, especially talking about safe space, because it's a kind of the base and the fundament to any kind of Liveability work inside a network. So safe space is kind of the core. It's something that we want to reach in this tool, and so this is in the middle of this compass. And our direction in this compass, we identify 4 main directions that you can see in the presentation that are respect and trust, care, inclusivity, and methodology. So the idea is to go from the out part of the circle with what we call the easier question. And as far as we can answer yes to this question, we can go a bit deep inside the section to ask ourselves something a bit maybe harder or deeper. And then again, another step to the harder question about the sector. And if all of this part is made of positive answer, we can ensure as much as we can that we are working, or that our direction is toward the safe space. So we tested it. We found a lot of we had a lot of feedback. We tested inside the partnership. We had a lot of feedback, and we work again on it, and again on it, and again on it. What I want to add is that there are some rules that for me it could be helpful to work better with the tool, but also to make it a kind of a game. So we have some rules, and if we can follow them, or we can of course personalize them a bit. We have a user guide that explain all the concept and all the instructions to create the charter, because as you can see in this image, we put question because we don't want to provide universal question for every network. So what we design is the method, but not the question that every network has to make for them. We don't want to say what a network has to ask, because it depends on the context, what you are looking for, what you want to understand in the liveability in that moment for that context. What we made to make it a bit easier in a kind of way is a list of suggested questions divided in 2 points of view. There is one third-person point of view that we thought more for organizer, facilitator of a meeting, a gathering. So questions that are made in third person and that are like a checklist, I would say. If I am organizing something and I want to ensure livability and I want to ensure a safe space, I thought about this and this and this. If I can say yes, it means that, okay, I'm organizing a space that probably could be a safe space as much as I can. It's a kind of checklist. But also we turn the question with another point of view, the first person point of view, that could be useful for facilitator and organizer if they want to make an assessment before the gathering, maybe to test the feeling of the people, the emotion of the people in an anonymous way, probably, just to understand, to create, even before the meeting, even before the gathering, a space where people can say if there is something wrong, if there is something that maybe it's not making them so safe in the space. So this could be very useful for someone. I mean, I would say by my own, if I want to understand if I'm feeling good in my network, maybe sometimes I need a tool to help me to see if there is something that is not safe for me, for example, so I can make it on my own. Or if I am a facilitator and I want to take care of a space, I can ask people to answer so I can better understand which kind of topic maybe we have to focus on or we have to work on. Because the idea is that all the questions are a yes or no answers. So it's like a checklist. If you answer yes, okay, there is a tool, there is a method, there is a space where we are leaving that topic. But if I answer no, I need a change. And with this compass, we don't want to provide the way you need, how you need to change, or which kind of method or which kind of approach, because this is really personal. But we just want to make visible something that sometimes is invisible. So if you answer no, okay, you have to find a tool, or you have to study, or you have to change your approach to make that topic, to turn that topic from a no to a yes. And of course, the handbook is taught to give a kind of first hand. So most of the topic, of course, are related with the handbook. So if you answer no to one of the questions of the compass, of course, you can go to the handbook and start to work on that topic. And even in the handbook, find the bibliography, example, and other tools to try to approach that topic that maybe is a challenge inside your network. So we have these 2 points of view. We provided an example that is thought for a feedback session. So for someone that is preparing an annual feedback session into the CSA on the process, the internal process, and we choose some of the questions that for us suit the most. But of course, as we said, this is an example, and we invite people to change the suggested question. They are only as an example, but of course, anyone can create their own list of questions accordingly to the context, the situation, what you really want to discover in a kind of way, or what you really want to work on. And yes, and this is a picture that I really love from our last meeting in Basso. We are all the partners of ViViD help us a lot with a feedback session working on the compass. So we work on the first draft of the compass. We tested and we collected all the feedback, and it was really useful to show us the limit of the compass, and we try to turn that limits in the opportunity to make it even more open and accessible to the networks, I would say. So I stop the sharing, but of course I'm open to questions if there are questions.
Could I ask a question?
Sure. Yes,
Hello?
And I don't know if there was.
There is Judith who wants to try to talk, but she doesn't have a mic. She is from her phone. And there is also Piotr. Sorry, I'm not able. So first, first Judith, and then Piotr. Sorry.
I'm sorry, it's really difficult because I can't see the screen, so it's a little difficult. My question really concerns the word livability. Where do you see the differences between livability and quality of life?
Sorry, Judith, we cannot hear you properly. I don't know if you could. Can you repeat? I don't know. Maybe we are losing you. I don't know.
No, she said, which is
Go.
How do you see the main difference between livability and quality of life?
Like, as a general question about how we approach livability pillar into the ViViD project, or strictly connected with us?
No, that's my question is, what is the difference to you between livability and quality of life?
No, for me it's clear. If it's personal, the question, so if it's to me, I would say that I don't see any difference between livability, quality of life for individuals inside the group, and the group as a system. So I would say that for me, in sustain livability, it means to sustain and give a better, the most, a better way of living inside. So it means a better quality of life for me. But and so every tools that we design on or every workshop or experiment we did, I would say that it went in this direction. So even the compass, if in the end we come to the compass, is kind of way to improve it.
If I
Okay, no, that's what I understood. That's what I understood. I just wanted to be sure.
No, if I may,
Thank you.
only to complete, Nadia, because I think that depending on how you, this is what we were talking about, this common language that we need. No, sometimes maybe if you use quality of life and you define it and it's okay, it's okay. For me, the difference here is that the conventional way to define quality of life is mostly the resources that we have in many spaces, no? And we want to put in the core how we are, no, and how we feel. And from a feminist approach in our case, and to put what means for us the quality, no, this quality, what means to have this quality, no, and also making visible other things that and other values, more than the, I don't know, the salary that we have or we don't, or the, I don't know, the material resources, no. So it's another tool, and it's, I think all the words and everything is okay if we define it and it's useful for our group, no? And I think it's the way where Nadia wants, no? But for me, the difference is to make visible this part, because in our networks, we work a lot about the people we have, the number of people, the, I don't know, the accessible that we have to our in LSPAs, and okay, but how we are within our networks is what we want to work here. And also, why not to be provocative with a new word, no? And put in the life as part of it.
Okay, no, I don't have a problem with the word.
I know.
For me, quality of life includes the emotional, human, and intangible dimensions much more than the tangible and concrete things. But I think, this is why, as a linguist originally, I'm intrigued by how you are defining livability versus quality of life. I'm not being provocative.
You can be.
I'm not.
Thank you, Judith.
Thank you, Isa.
We have Piotr.
Yeah, thanks. I'm listening to the super interesting presentation and all your reflection put into the quality of how we cooperate in our networks. And I find it useful, and I find that your tool useful. I was just wondering, what is this tool like? Do you see some specificity of CSA networks compared to other organizations? Because I see the tools and your reflection quite universal. You can apply it to many contexts. And I was wondering, have you come across the specific points for our type of organizing, for our types of networks? What are the aspects or the challenges we are facing in this type of work? If you could shed some light on this.
I would say that the compass, we decided to make it a bit more general and universal. The method itself, it is you can apply it to any kind of network or group to understand the well-being of the group itself. But for sure, it was something that we face when we are trying to organize it, and we tested even in the symposium, because if you change the question, if you have a very specific topic concerning something that is really specific that you are trying to understand, and it is really connected with a real context, you can make your own practical, real, contextualized questions. So if you want to reach something, because the compass itself is made more not to solve practical problem or issues contextualized in the framework, but is a way to dive and to navigate. So I don't know if I answered, but I saw that also Anna and Lisa have two hands. So. Isa,
Sorry. No, one small point, because I think that maybe the questions are useful for all the networks. The specific point here is that we tested this with farmers and eaters. And this is, for me, is the point, that we had farmers and not farmers building this, no? It's not a methodology that we build in our office or in our, I don't know. So the diversity that for our network, we build it with the different parts of it, no? And we include all of them as part of the process, no? So yeah, I think it's the specific. Then the result. Now other networks had to test if they had to add other questions or if it's useful for them. But for us, we try to be inclusive in the process, no? Because the process had been the practical exercise for us. We are building it, no? So for me, the specificity here is that we build it with farmers and with the different parts of our network.
Actually, and I just want to add, and I think I try to support to answer also to the question of Judith, that it's not a question of LSP or CSA, because as you said, no, that this is super universal. But when we identify these keywords, the important thing is that these keywords have to be once again analyzed by your networks, no? And those gives the identity of the CSA, or maybe to another kind of networks, I don't know, saving the turtles of your river, I don't know, whatever. But the important thing is that we have the same meaning. So the universe that we create within our networks, it's composed by the element by all the people who are members of that universe. No, so in your Polish network, in my Italian network, in the Spanish network, we need to be sure that everyone understand are in the same line. So it's really easy then at that moment to have all these tools, and they are really adapted. I don't know the English word. They are really that they identify your situation. That's why, from one side, the concept and the tool is universal, or can be applied in a lot of different aspects, but we can use it specifically within your network. For example, we have used this methodology once again for doing the feedback of our ViViD project, and we had totally different results. What the words were meaning, because the people there were not farmers, were the coordinators of the organizations, so not specifically people from the fields, and we had super different results. And that feedback is super useful, because we can use it for another project, taking into consideration that the context is really similar. So it's just how you want to use this context, and being inclusive, as Isa was saying, no, being inclusive the most as you can with the people who will be members, who are members of the of your CSA network or whatever. The important thing is trying to be the most open as you can and trying to collect all the inputs and including farmers. Otherwise, farmers, the voices of the farm are always, yes, we are interested in them, and we decide what is good from them. And no, it's not that we have to decide. They have a voice, they can talk by themselves, and this is the important thing then, just to include all this. And this is when we talk about livability within a network. It can be from a personal level, but when you build a new word, when you build a new meaning, it's the collective intelligence, so we are creating a new meaning that represents all of us, and we are being inclusive. So that's why we try to identify. And also, to be honest, they are super practical tools. Okay, they are not just about talking, because otherwise people will laugh. So, and this is also really CSA adapted, being practical and operative, and being a little bit with a little bit of movement, and just only talking. Okay, I don't know, we have somehow given you some inputs or some answer. Yes? I don't know if there are other comments, other questions, because we had a practical exercise that we wanted to try with you, just so we do not have to talk all the time. I don't know if there are any other comments. If not, I think that we can start with our exercise. Nadia, if you want to start, or I have to look for the link otherwise. You have it. I cannot see you, Nadia. Okay, I have the link. I will share with you a link. Already, Nadia has already shared it. Okay, so what we want to do is doing this exercise, trying to start with the word of care. Okay, so from your personal point of view, okay, now you are not a representative of your CSA network. Okay, it's about yourself. But what wait a moment, I cannot read from the shared screen. I need to read it from the real document. Sorry, it's too small for me. Okay, thank you. So from your point of view, who and or what do we care for? Okay, so we have these 3 questions, and we already put some post-its. I don't know, I guess that most of you already knows how Canva works, but you can go to each of these post-its or take another one from the post-it tool that maybe Nadia, you can show us how we can use the post-it. And then we ask you to answer. I cannot read, definitely. Who and what do we care for? How does care manifest itself? How do we express care? Okay, so we invite you to try to answer. I mean, it's about care, and this is just a simple exercise that talks about care, and for sure we will get super different answers. Okay, I hope so. We are 12 people here or more, I don't know, but we can have some inputs, and we invite you to try to answer. This is your personal, right? Now you are not representative of your CSA network.
And if anybody prefers to send anything by the chat, no, and not because.
Yeah, I wanted to say the same. If you can't, or if you don't want to go into the Canva, you can write it in this chat, and we will move it into the common Canva for you.
Can you repeat the questions, because maybe Judith is not seen?
Yes. Who and or what do we care for? How does care manifest itself? How do we express care? And I also copied them into the chat. Mhm.
While you finish thinking and we reach to the final, I put once again, if you, sorry, I was reading the chat. I put here in the link a link in the chat. So just to register your participation, it should be an open document, and I kindly ask you to all of you register in that document. There is the line signature for you. It's not possible to sign because we are not in person, but just put an X or something. Okay, if you please, so we can prove that we have done this webinar for the Erasmus project. Thank you. I think that most of the post-its are already full, so maybe 2 more minutes, and then we can start sharing if you agree.
Okay. I see some people very active in the in the Canva, but maybe you can start sharing what we wrote in the Canva. And our suggestion is that each of you can share or read what you wrote in the Canva. If you want, it's a way to hear everyone who has read anything. Anyone wants to start?
Okay, I will. I started by who or what do I care for, and I didn't think necessarily about my personal or professional life as separate things, but more about the values that move me. So I resumed that about living beings and their rights and our planet, and how I care about sharing this planet like between species. And then it was interesting to see that other members said more or less the same with different wording, and I found that really pretty to see that within a network that we share values. Sometimes it's obvious, but this is like a example of this what we care all for.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else who wants to share with us what you
I can go if you want, Isa.
Go.
Should we do all three of them or just one?
Yes, all of them, because
okay.
we are almost closing, so
okay. I'll be fast.
That's
So
great.
I divided in my work life and my personal life because I tend to be very task focused. So I take care during my work hours and in general when I think about my work, about our members around the world, and also my team, so the rest of the staff and our partners. But outside of my work, I tend to show care as well, and I am very value focused. So I care for my community. It's my family, my people, the people around me, and the planet, because I try as much as possible. And then how does care manifest itself? I think it manifests through actions, so showing up for people, not only the people, so also the planet, the animals, nature in general, and try to be there for them in the way that they need you to be there for them, because everybody needs different things. And I express care through actions because I am better with concrete things rather than showing through words, but I'm trying to learn. But I think it's important. So I try to use to show care and show my emotion through words as well as concrete practical actions.
Mhm. Okay. Amy, I see that you are writing in the chat. If you prefer, it's okay. I don't know if anyone else wants to share. But the goal was to have this moment, no, to think about this in a practical way, only to show one of the ways or the tools that we can build in our networks, even with people that we don't know a lot. We can create this kind of spaces, no, to facilitate to share this, no. So thank you all of you for sharing it in the Canva. And I don't know if you have any comment about this exercise or any question. We are almost closing the webinar, but before closing, if you want to share anything, your comment, if you see that anything of this that we have been sharing with you is useful for you, if you miss anything, if you have any, I don't know, suggestions for us also, because this is a work in progress. So the project finished this year, but in our networks, I think this will be a work in progress. So if anyone wants to share anything about this, is very welcome. No one? Okay, Anna, Nadia, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, it has been a pleasure, this webinar. We were really excited for it. Like, okay, how will people accept? How will people receive talking about livability? And we were really, yes, definitely excited with this webinar and trying to imagine how it could work. So we are, me personally, really happy how it works, and that you have that you are interested also in the tools, and that I hope that livability or wellness or the word that you decide that it fits the best in your context can be also in your networks, in your work, and that it's not only work, but it's also quality of life. And then we have also work. Okay. And Zara is suggesting a group photo. Well, I don't know if we still do those things, but I think that it's possible. But we need this gallery view that I have, only the speaker view. I have to change it. So, who wants to do the picture?
Who will make it? Flavia, can you make it? Can you do it? Our communication.
Yes.
Smile.
So,
Okay, let's take another one. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. It was really lovely. And for everybody that is interested, we already have the handbook, as you saw on the website. We're gonna continue to build the page, and there's also other outputs that have been produced in the project that are online now. So stay tuned.
and I have an important thing: the way that we have edited the compass, it's super printable. Okay, so you can print it in a big document, even to play it in the floor. So it's a super useful tool. And super thanks to Nadia for all this graphic design that she did already with the mindset that everyone can. It's not just a document that you can see in the computer or just print into A4 size. Well, I don't know if it for the English speaking countries is A4, but for the normal size of the file. But you can print it as big as you want and use it, but really use it because it's an amazing, super amazing tool. Okay, so enjoy a lot and thanks a lot for joining us this evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.